Hi everyone, I'm Leslie, and I'm traveling the world looking for everything unique, different, and the more off the beaten path, the better. And if you recall, we are on the Ultimate World Cruise, but when the cruise ship had to divert around Africa, we jumped off, we went to Egypt, Jordan, and now we're touring all of Italy. So we are dropping down into Tuscany. Now we just did Florence, and I know Florence is Tuscany, but when I say Tuscany, I mean wine, 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 wineries, touring wineries, more wine, and then some wine, and then we'll drink some wine. So this whole trip to Tuscany is all about resting and drinking wine. So we left Florence. We rented a car in Florence, and we are on our way to Sarteano into an Airbnb. And I can't wait for you to see all of Tuscany, the Airbnb, our view. Just the whole thing is so incredible. We loved every single second of it, and we might have stayed a little too long, but I'll tell you about all that too. So let's go check out Tuscany. Okay, so as I said, we were in Florence. Our Airbnb in Florence is right across the street from the rental car place. So we go grab a rental car and we're gonna drive to our Airbnb in Sarteano. Now that sounds very simple and, let's just grab a rental car and hit the road. But the thing about these towns, especially these Tuscan towns, is they're so small that driving a car is a significant challenge. So keep that in mind if you're going to jump into a car, primarily because the roads are so narrow that getting up a street that maybe you didn't want to be on is very difficult to turn around and get back out. So just plan, be very strategic about where you're going and when you're going. Follow the street signs. They are very well marked because a lot of these communities, you cannot drive in specific areas at specific times. And as soon as you cross over into those no driving zones, you're immediately fined. So keep an eye where you are, what you're doing. And then just enjoy the ride, the view, and the journey. So we roll in to our Airbnb. And let me tell you about the Airbnb process. So I'm all for staying in an Airbnb, but I want a private condo, townhome, apartment, private. So obviously in Tuscany, finding a condo or a townhome or a private apartment is virtually impossible, if not impossible. So what I was left with was either huge homes with just the two of us and very expensive, although they were beautiful, or guest houses or guest rooms in people's homes. And I'm not gonna go into someone's home and stay in like their guest bedroom. That's a hard no. I'm not even thrilled about staying in a guest house. So I searched. I probably went through 100 Airbnbs in Tuscany because remember, we have no plan. Once we left Florence, we had no plan. We were just gonna see where Tuscany led us. I found the most perfect guest house in Sarteano. Thank you, Dorita. I will tag the Airbnb link here. So many of you asked me about it. So perfect, perfectly located, perfect house. It had parking. A lot of them didn't have parking. We had a car, so we had to be able to park. Private entrance. We drove into their driveway to our guest house. They went to their house. It was quiet. It was beautiful, perfect location. Little 1-bedroom. The back patio. It was so dreamy and so quiet and exactly what we needed to just nest, rest, and enjoy Tuscany.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we want to do an Airbnb, we want to be able to eat dinner in, and this little guest house had the perfect patio for us to eat on. There was a barbecue, obviously a full kitchen. So we decide we're going to hit the supermarket. So we hit the supermarket, and the view from the supermarket in Chianciano is, yeah, let me just show you the view. This is the view from the supermarket. If you remember, I had said that we want to rest. It sounds crazy. We've been on vacation since December 10th, 2023. But this world cruising is not vacation. It is travel. We are full-blown travelers and we're so tired. We have been going nonstop and seeing amazing places all over the world. So this stop in Tuscany is so perfectly timed for us to This is also a perfect time to introduce you to Gina, the Airbnb puppy of the house. Do you see her there in my side mirror? She was such a gem, and we were so happy to come home to her every day. She would race the fence when we left to say goodbye, and she was always here to welcome us home. Our first winery, and probably our favorite, was Bindella. Bindella was amazing.
Tuscany.
That's in the wax. We use transformation of the sugar in full by helping of the yeast.
And just as a side note, in order for the wine to be called Vino Nobile, it must come from Montepulciano, that area here that we're in Tuscany. It must be a minimum of 70% Sangiovese grapes from here in Montepulciano and be aged a minimum of 2 years. There's 18 months in the barrel and then 6 months in the bottle. But the stellar Vino Nobile wines at Bindella were like nothing we tasted, and we drank a lot of Vino Nobile while we were in this area of Sarteano. We had a beautiful charcuterie plate with local pecorino cheeses. The owner here of Bindella has a beautiful art collection. There are sculptures and artwork all through the winery. The view is so breathtaking. The wine tasting, the sommelier who was explaining the wines here was so passionate and so knowledgeable, and just really gave us hours to sit down with these bottles, drink the wine, have the charcuterie, look at the view. Just such a beautiful day. Thank you, Bindella. We loved you. Of course, we have to stop for some gelato on our way home. And this might be one of like 40 stops for gelato while we're in Tuscany. You know, give or take.
Avete indovinato di quale programma si tratta? No? E allora compratevi una vocale. Concede stampe, la ruota della fortuna torna a girare sul canale.
We stopped to walk around Chianciano Terme, which was this same little town where we stopped for the supermarket. But today we're going to stop for lunch at a place called Bar Centro Storico. When we walk into their restaurant, she leads us outside almost like they had planned. We felt like they had planned for us to be there, because they walk us out and we're on this center table on this balcony with this view that, like, you could not pay for this stuff. You could not plan this stuff. You couldn't reserve this stuff. A little two-seater table with a stunning view. And we had some pizza, we had some wine, of course. I had some ravioli. It just was, I didn't just have ravioli. I had lobster ravioli with sage butter for lunch. Oh, it was glorious. Let's just take a minute to think about lobster ravioli with sage butter. Our second winery is Salcheto, another super cool place. It's a completely sustainable winery in Montepulciano. The brick patio is watered down, and the pebbles between the bricks retain the water enough to keep the cellar below cool. The domes here are skylights to solely light the cellar. The barrels have a release valve to release the air to allow the wines to auto-circulate themselves. The glass cylinders on the top are Leonardo da Vinci inventions to allow them to see the wines within the barrel and know when they're ready. The small barrels in the premium grape room are rotated once a month. And all the bottles are hand filled with labels hand applied. They have a live garden wall to block the building from Montepulciano. There are very distinct rules in the city of Montepulciano, or that area, that everything has to be look kind of like it's part of the landscape. And so, of course, looking down from the hill, they didn't want to see a building. So instead, they wrap it with this live garden. So cool.
1823, and this is also very important for us.
They refurbish everything here at Salcheto. Even the wine barrels are refurbished into pots for the lemon trees.
Vineyard over there, so all the vineyard before the river, it's the Salcheto vineyard. Also you can see our
there was nothing open in Chianciano Terme. So it was so odd. As we're driving through the city, we're there in the summertime, and it just was so weird that there weren't a lot of things open. We really struggled to find restaurants open. Their hours were very odd. What was open was full restaurants, so taking out any food or just kind of going to grab a slice of pizza was not happening. So we did stop in the supermarket again because we're just gonna eat in. The first time we're in the supermarket and we're grabbing, remember we went to the supermarket when we first got here in Tuscany, and we don't realize that we have to mark all of our produce, weigh it and mark it so the cashier can just check it out. In America, they do all of that for you. The scale and the label and everything is at the cash register. But here in Tuscany, you're supposed to do it all in the produce section, and we don't realize that. So we decide we're going to abandon trying to find a restaurant here, and we're just going to go back to the supermarket. And now we realize we've got to mark everything. We figured it all out in Italian. We check out and we're pretty proud of ourselves. Having an Airbnb is great because, you know, you can go to the supermarket, you can get the food that you want, get what you're used to, you know, eat dinner in your pajamas. We sit out on our back balcony, watch the sunset, drink our wine. We bought some wine. We bought a little bit of wine from the wineries. So we're going to drink our wine. We're going to have our own little dinner on our balcony, and it's quiet, and we can spend the evening with Gina, the sweet little puppy, and just enjoy our beautiful night. Our second little medieval town, we're going to stop in Pienza. I had read all about Pienza. It's definitely a place not to miss. However, we go and it is so crowded. Everybody got the memo to not miss Pienza that we can't even find a parking spot. And so we abandon Pienza and we go to Montepulciano instead. Montepulciano is up on a hill. You see it when you're driving into Sarteano. It's like, what? It's magical. And so our drive up there is beautiful, and we're gonna spend the day in Montepulciano, and that is not a mistake. It is so beautiful. It's beautiful in the town. The view is beautiful. It's just beautiful. With its characteristic L shape and the many historical buildings, the overlook here, the Piazza Grande di Montepulciano, is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful squares in Italy. These little towns are perfect to just wander through, stop and get gelato. We stopped and got lunch.
You go into the room and you're going to start checking for you got your blue lights.
Look in the little shops. There's little chapels typically. They're just small little cobblestone streets. They're fun to just wander through. There seems to be a surprise around every corner, and they each have their own little medieval characteristics and are so special. And there's hundreds of them out here, so you could just drive from one medieval town to another. Thank you, Tuscany. We got so much rest, so much just disconnect and quiet. The other thing about the cruise ship is it is not quiet. There's constant noise. So being in this Tuscan countryside, it's so quiet, and we just rested, and it was so beautiful. We do a take two on Pienza. We are so glad to be back. Pienza take two. Welcome to Pienza. Pienza has a central Piazza Pio II. It's framed by the 15th century buildings like the Pienza Cathedral and Pico Lamini Palace. The latter was Pope Pius II's summer residence and features a roof garden with valley views. Flemish tapestries and the Pope's embroidered cape are on display in the museum. So we walk through Pienza, see all the cathedral and the squares and all the buildings and shops. We stop and get a little sandwich. And we had noticed that there was camera equipment kind of set up in the street, but we're there early to avoid the crowd. And so now the people start to fill in and there's more and more people coming in. We realize why Pienza is so crowded, because not only are there a lot of people wanting to see Pienza, but there are a lot of people. They're on a film crew because it's George Clooney and Adam Sandler's filming of their new movie, J. Kelly. And we're there while they're filming a scene, and it's so cool. Like we're just watching, but in my story is that we're there. We're in the filming of George Clooney and Adam Sandler's new movie of J. Kelly. We're just gonna be in it. We're not in the movie, but if you ask me, we're in the movie. We're there. We're on the sidelines. So when you go see George Clooney's new movie, J. Kelly, and you see them raising the Pope statue, think of us. We're there. We're there while they're raising the Pope statue, filming J. Kelly in Pienza, Italy. So cool. A memory I will never forget. Next stop, we stop in San Quirico di Orsia. It's a cute little quiet town. There's very few people there when we're there. It's beautiful. Another one of those just little towns that you happen to pass through on your way from one to another. We stopped to get lunch. And there's a man sitting at the table beside us, an older Italian man eating lunch by himself. And he asks where we're from, and he tells us he knows our area. We sat and chatted with him for probably an hour. Our last winery is Avignonesi Avignonesi.
Production in 2019 and also 2020. But we will have
We have another beautiful charcuterie plate, beautiful wine tasting, no tour, but we sat outside. The sommelier here is explaining all their wines. She's also very passionate. She's young. She's so excited to hear about America from us. We're so excited to hear about their winery, their wines. The view is beautiful. Just another beautiful winery. We have dinner back at Locanda de Tintori. That's the very first restaurant we stop in when we got to Sarteano. Highly recommended by Dorita. We had a beautiful dinner. We have more wine, more peachy. It's a beautiful night. So that's it for us. That's Tuscany. That's Tuscany in one big bow. Wineries, rest, gelato, incredible pizza, pasta, a special Airbnb in Sarteano, and just a beautiful stay in this area of Tuscany. So Tuscany doesn't end, because next up, we're gonna move our way up to stay in an area that turned out to be one of our favorite spots in Tuscany, Lucca, Italy. And the only reason we're in Lucca is because we want to see Pisa, and I was worried that Pisa and staying in Pisa was going to be a mess. So I chose the next closest city, and it turned out to be one of our absolute favorites. We're going to go to an epic concert here. I don't want to give away too much, but Layla, yeah, it's an epic concert in Lucca. It replaces Bruce Springsteen, because we found out Bruce Springsteen's concert is canceled, so we instead book a different concert in Lucca that we're so happy to see, and it ends up turning out to be absolutely perfect. So until Lucca, until Pisa, until Layla, I'm gonna say bye for now, but don't miss the next video. And if you liked this one today, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And as always, thank you so much for being part of this incredible journey. I hope you enjoyed Tuscany. And until Lucca, bye for now.